2005 through 2011 Ml350 clock spring replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing the clock spring on this Mercedes. So if you turn your steering wheel and you hear a clicking noise like that and you got a light on the dash, most likely the problem is the clock spring inside the steering wheel is broken. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing that. Okay, to get started with replacing this clock spring, you're going to make sure that the wheels are straight ahead and the steering wheel is centered. Next, you're going to take the passenger front seat and move the seat all the way forward as far as it'll go. Then underneath the front passenger seat, there's going to be a cover like this. You're going to pop this cover off and you're going to remove the negative battery cable from the battery. When you get the cable off, make sure you tuck it in a way where it won't pop back up and make contact with the negative terminal. Now that the battery's disconnected, we're going to go ahead and remove the airbag. And the way you're going to do that, there's going to be a hole, one on each side of the steering wheel. You may have to turn the steering wheel slightly to get to it. And inside this hole is going to be a T27 Torx bolt. So I'm going to use a pretty long Torx socket like this and a ratchet. And I'm going to remove the bolt here. And there's going to be another one on the opposite side. So I'm going to remove these two bolts, and then the airbag will come off, and then we'll unplug it. So after you get the bolt loose here and here, you can take the airbag itself and pull it off. And then what you're going to do is you're going to unplug the connectors here. Okay, to unplug the airbag connectors, they have these little orange connectors here. And you're going to put a screwdriver in here, and they're going to be flush, and you're going to pop them up like this. So you'll put your screwdriver in there and give it a little twist. That'll pop it up, and then once those are up, then you can put your screwdriver in here and twist, and that'll pop the connectors off. So you'll do that for the yellow. Now you can set the airbag aside. You want to set it aside somewhere safe where there's no static electricity around or anything like that. You're also going to unplug this little switch right here, like that, so the wires are free like that, and the steering wheel, when it comes off, it'll come over the wires. So next we're going to remove the Allen bolt here. To break that center nut free, I had to use a 10mm Allen and a long breaker bar like this and crack it free, and I had to hold the steering wheel while I had somebody else break the nut free. Okay, now that you got the nut free, what I recommend you do is take this little arrow here and take a little screwdriver or something sharp and scratch a mark in the steering column here. Like, make a little pick mark, and so when you pull the steering wheel back on, you line this arrow up with that little scratch mark that you made, and that way the steering wheel will go back on exactly the way you took it off. Once you make your little inscribed mark, then you should be able to just pull the steering wheel straight off towards you. Now you're going to remove the torque screw here. There's going to be 3 of them here, a little hard to see. One about right here, and then one right here. Remove those 3, and these are going to be T10 Torx. You may want to have a magnet close by too to get the screws out. Okay, now that the steering wheel's off, we're going to remove one little Torx screw that's going to come up vertical here. So it's going to, if you look at the clock spring right here, it's going to come straight up right here. It's a T27 Torx bolt. You're going to remove this bolt here. You're just going to loosen the bolt. It's not going to come all the way out. Now you're going to grab the steering column shaft like this and pull straight out toward you like this. And now we're going to disassemble the clock spring from the multifunction switch here. So this portion of the switch goes through into the multifunction switch, and we need to okay, now what we need to do is flip it over. So we got the 3 screws out on this side. We're going to flip it over. Now we're going to remove the torque screw here and here, and then right here is a little plastic tab that we're going to push up with a screwdriver. So we'll push this little tab right here back with the screwdriver, and then we'll take the whole turn signal switch and everything out of the plastic housing here. So once you got the screws removed and the tab pried back, then you're going to take this whole plastic housing and slide it off like that. Now that it's out, you can take the clock spring and unplug it right here from the connector and pull it off. And also this little plastic tab right here may come off right here. It goes over the It goes over the switch like this, so it's a decorative piece, so you want to make sure you don't lose that, and this is where it goes. And these also may pop off too, so you want to be careful. I wanted to show you the replacement part numbers here. We'll be linking these up in the description of the video, that way in case you guys need to get that, you can pick those up. So remember, the replacement part comes with this little protective cover here, so you're just going to pop that off and remove it. Now you're going to make sure that all these little plastic little decorative cover pieces are in place like that. Once they then you can go ahead and take your clock spring and slide it into the connector where it plugs in, and then go ahead and put the 3 screws that hold it in. So one here, the 3 screws that hold it back in, bolt those back in. Okay, now that the clock spring is rebolted to the multifunction switch, we're going to slide it back into the plastic. You do that by lining up all the plastic little slots with the slots that go around the switches here, and the cruise control and the levers here. And so you're going to slide it in position, and then these little decorative pieces right here will slide in the grooves here, so you got to line everything up. Once everything looks nice and flush like this, then you can go ahead and flip it over and install the 2 set screws. Now you're going to take the whole plastic cover and clock spring and slide it back over the steering column like this. And there's also a little electrical connector here that's going to line up with the electrical connector inside there, so you got to kind of feel for that. So you're going to slide it on, and so you'll slide it on until it, and you have to feel for it back here in the back too. It kind of goes in these little grooves, kind of line everything up, and then slide it on until it seats. As you're sliding it back on, this little piece back here on the bottom that helps for the tilt, it slides into the tracks here, so you got to line that up also as you're sliding the whole column on. Now you're going to tighten the set screw right here. Now you're going to tighten the set screw that went from underneath here, and you're just going to do it until it's snug. After that's done, then what you're going to do is you're going to remove the safety thing so it doesn't spin on you. And the way you do that is you just pull forward and you snap the little tab off and just leave it in there just like that. So if you look at the original one, it's still in there too, like that. Now we're going to run the wires through the steering wheel and put our steering wheel back onto the mark that the little scratch marks that we made, and the little arrow on the steering wheel, and line that back up. Okay, now that we got the steering wheel lined back up with our marks, we're going to put the nut back on and torque it down to 60 foot-pounds. But before we do, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of this blue thread locker on it. And the brand we like to use it here at How To Automotive is Permatex thread locker. So you're going to put a little bit of this glue on the threads, and that helps prevent the bolt from vibrating loose and coming back off. So once you get that, so once you put the blue Loctite on it, or thread locker, then you can go ahead and put the bolt back on and torque it down to 60 foot-pounds. After lining up the yellow tab and the green tab, once you got them pushed on, then you're just going to push the safety lock connectors. Push them in with your fingers until they lock into place. Once the airbag connectors are replugged in like that, then you're just going to line it up with the steering wheel, reinstall it like that, and then tighten up the 2 screws on the side here. So one here, and then the one over here. You'll tighten those 2 T27 torque bolts up. Now that your steering wheel is your airbag is bolted back to the steering wheel, the next step is to reinstall the battery cable on the battery. And then after that, what we're going to do, when you're tightening the nut on your battery cable, be sure not to over tighten it. They snap really easily. So once you get that tightened back up, then you can go ahead and put the cover back on. And this cover just kind of just pushes on and snaps into place. Now that the battery's reconnected, you're just going to turn your ignition key on and install a scan tool and reset the airbag steering angle codes and clear those. And I would walk you through that, but every scan tool is different. There's a million of them out there, and they all function in a different way. So I recommend you go through your scan tool settings and clear those codes. And if you don't have access to a scan tool, then you can take your vehicle down to a shop and have them just clear the codes for you. And that'll complete the job of replacing the clock spring on a 2005 through 2011 Mercedes Ml350. It's the W164 chassis. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. And also to remind you that I will be linking up the parts in the description of the video. Thank you again for watching.